Welcome everybody to Discovering Your Inner GPS. I'm so grateful that all of you signed up and turned up. Several faces I know, a bunch of new faces for me. And so I want to introduce myself a little bit differently tonight. My name's Willow Bradner, and I'm what I call an accidental psychic. And we'll get into sort of how that became. But tonight, you guys are all going to get to practice being accidental psychics for yourself. Because discovering your inner GPS is about trusting yourself and dropping into your heart and owning your spirit and believing in yourself. And that's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to go on a little journey down my memory lane, and then we'll round up back here with you guys, kind of tapping into yourself and figuring out who you want to be when you grow up. And it always starts with one question, I feel, one big giant question to get the spirit stirring, to get you into that imaginative land. And the question is, if you knew unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, that you could be and do anything you wanted in this life, what would it be? You have enough money, don't worry. You have enough time. You're as pretty as the next girl. There's nothing holding you back, right? Nothing. None of the shoulds and the supposed tos. You can be and do anything you want in this life. Just imagine, what is that? I read this quote as I was preparing for tonight by Dante Alighieri. I don't know if anybody had to read Dante's Inferno in high school, but this has nothing to do with that. So, follow your own star was the quote. Follow your own star. And when I read it, I thought, yeah, follow your own star. But you have to first be the star. We have to own that star. We have to understand what that star is. And that star inside of all of us is that spirit. It's the truth. It's the essence. It's that awesome that lives in all of us. That so many times gets fucking stomped out by should, supposed to, not good enough, not worth it, I can't, I don't know. All the reasons that we won't do something stomps out that spirit. So how do we follow our star? How do we get to that place where we trust ourselves enough to be living in that spirit full time, not just part time, not when we're doing a Running Man at the wedding, not when, not when we're drinking, but like all the time. I've been very fortunate in my life. I've been following my own star most of my life, largely because I have this crazy intuition and this wild spirit that lived inside of me. And despite myself, I've always followed my own star because I, like everybody in this room, probably wanted to fit in. But coming from a family of hippies with a name like Willow, you don't get to fit in. You walk into a room and they're like, you ain't fitting in, girl. They think when you introduce yourself as Willow, you're a hippie, you're a vegetarian, and you like camping. None of those are true for me. But I never fit in the inbox, and I really wanted to. I did. There were so many instances in my life where I could see how fitting in would really have benefited me. It would have made things easier because getting called bizarre and weird and eccentric never feels so hot. It doesn't feel good at the time. But I had this crazy voice inside of me. I had this crazy voice that sort of directed me and led me through my life. And when I listened to it, it veered me off course always. So about the time that you all were going off to college, I was hopping in a 1972 Ford Red Courier and driving across the country. I was going to Europe. I was peddling coffee and working as a cake decorator and a machinist and anything I could do to figure out how to make a living so I could travel, live in Thailand, and do these wild, crazy things. But then one day, that spirit, that awesome voice that was guiding me, got quiet. And that other voice, that bitch, was like, you know what? Your friends have graduated from college and they're getting 401k plans and car payments and you're probably gonna want those. And I was like, whoa, I see what the whole college thing is about. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna fit in. I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna fit in and this is gonna be awesome. And I'll know what I'm gonna be when I grow up and people are gonna take me seriously and this is gonna be awesome and I will feel awesome. I'll be enough. So there I am in college and I walk into my guidance counselor's office And I'm like, hi, I'm here for college, this is so great. And that spirit voice inside of me says, I just want to do art and talk all day. What is that? Is there a degree for that? And she goes, honey, we don't sell that here. And she hands me the course book and she says, here's the course book, pick out your degree and follow the rules. And so I went and I tried and I did and I signed up. And I changed my major like 3 or 4 times, and I kept going to her office, and I kept saying, I just want to do art and talk all day. What is that? And she just kept going, I can't stand you. Why do you keep asking the same question? We don't sell that here. That is not a college degree we offer. We offer degrees that come with pieces of paper that may or may not land you a job. We can't say that for sure, but if you just follow the rules, you'll get the piece of paper. That I can promise you. And I just didn't understand. It didn't make any sense, because to me, I could go across the street to Jamba Juice, and for $3.41, they were going to let me put whatever I wanted in my smoothie. But at college, for $15,000, they were like, here's the book, bitch. Follow the rules and you'll get your 401k plan. And I was so lucky around this time because I got a haircut. And for most of you, this would be normal, but I grew up in a hippie household where my mom cut my hair with scissors, with the kitchen shears, you know? Blunt, long, hippie hair, always. So I got my first professional haircut. And I don't need to tell most of you that a haircut can change your life, right? So I got a haircut. And I realized that moment, this woman was doing art and talking all day. She was doing my job. This was what I was going to be when I grew up. I dropped my 4.0 in college and I went and became a hairstylist. Because when I was saying what I wanted, when I said I want to do art and talk all day, what I wasn't able to say at the time was that I want to connect. I want to know you. I want to see you. And there's something about being a hairstylist that's a little bit like being an anthropologist for people. Because I have this unique perspective. You guys sit in my chair and none of your defenses are up, and you talk and you share, and I learned and I listened and I participated. And what I really learned about myself is that on your worst day, I still see the light in you. On your best day, I see the light in you. On a sideways day with bags under your eyes, I still see the light in you. And like anything, this was the perfect training ground for the psychic empath that I've become. One of my first couple weeks as a hairdresser, or months, back it up, years as a hairdresser, probably like the second year as hairdresser, I had this client who was recurring on my books. And she was this girl that we all know. Every single one of us knows this girl. She's not here, don't worry. We can talk shit about her. Because she's the girl that when she walks in the room, she's like, and sucks the energy out of it. Have you met her? Do you know her? She's the girl that you're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful out. And she's like, ugh, it's hot, my hair looks horrible, I hate it here. And you're like, but I hear you're going to Bermuda. And she's like, yeah, but I wish it was the Grand Caymans. Like nothing's ever good enough for her. And then she likes to put you down. You are not smart enough because you're just in service. I have a degree. We're back to the degree thing because that happens all the time. But I remember thinking to myself as I'm looking at her name in the books and just thinking, for the rest of my life I'm signed up, I'm going to end up with this girl and multiple others like her. How am I going to handle this? How am I going to be in this relationship for the rest of my life when she's sucking me dry? And that's when I heard a voice. And this might have been one of those moments where you're like, she might be a psychic voices, but I didn't realize at the time that I was psychic. And I was so attuned to hearing voices anyways that it wasn't strange. But the voice said, what if? What if she's just like you? I'm not a bitch. I don't suck the energy out of a room. But what if she's just like you? What if she's insecure? What if she's scared too? What if she really just needs to be seen and recognized for her awesome? And what if she's loved and she really just needs that love, maybe a little bit more? And so this time when she came in, instead of preparing for the villain, I prepared with tools. And I prepared with this idea that I was going to go in as that anthropologist, as a detective, and I was going to see what was causing the pain and the conflict and why she felt it so necessary to put me down, to put herself in this crazy box. And I saw her for who she was. She was insecure. I mean, but who isn't? Who isn't insecure? She was definitely scared. And that's where that meanness came out of, because that was the defensiveness and the yucky that came out of her. But at the core, she just wanted to be recognized. She just wanted to be seen. And so I started to see her. And I started to notice her. And I started to apply love, like Band-Aids and ointments and pressure. And things got better. And the relationship changed, as did all my relationships. Because that toolbox applies to every single person in this room. And it applies to every relationship, excuse me, that we all come in contact with. And that was a big game-changing moment for me in my career, but certainly not when I realized I was psychic. My big aha accidental psychic moment happened on my wedding night. Perfect timing. But I have to backtrack here because the important story isn't so much the wedding night for me, it's what happened before. Because for me, I think to have that psychic moment, it took me rumbling with my insecurities myself, getting clear that I was good enough, starting to trust in my own voice, and finding the awesome in myself. Because while I had been so good at finding it in all of you, I'd been pretty shitty at finding it in me. And I'd taken to task on dating anybody who just liked me. So if they liked me, I was like, you're in, totally, because I am not sure I'm good enough, so I'll date you. I'll put a square peg in a round hole so fast. And the relationship just before my husband was this man who was this short, bald Irishman whose arms just couldn't quite wrap around my body. But you know, I tried to make it work as long as I could, and he was not nice. You would think an ugly dude would be nicer, but they're not. So he ripped my heart out, and he pulled it all apart in such a beautiful, masterful way, because it was then that I recognized that I had to work on me. Because I couldn't sign up for that motherfucker again. I was not gonna sign up for a guy who didn't like me, and I wasn't gonna sign up for somebody who I didn't like. I was gonna be clear about what I wanted and what I loved, and I was gonna get clear about how I wanted to feel in my life. And when I was able to do that and write down who I wanted, what I wanted, how I wanted it to feel, I was like, ready.